top story today is the health of Timberwolves star ending his left knee on this play. Yeah, he just came down incredibly hard. He also suffered a bone bruise. He was injured in Saturday night's win over the Nuggets. He did, though, avoid any ligament damage, but that was just a nasty landing there from Anthony Edwards. So with more, we're joined by our Shams Charania. Shams, we're hearing that this is going to be week to week for Anthony Edwards. What is the timeline, the expectation here?
Malika, I'm told that the Timberwolves are expecting Anthony Edwards to be out a period of multiple weeks. He has a bone bruise and a hyperextension after MRIs revealed that over the weekend. And it was a nasty turn of that knee, obviously. But thankfully for Anthony Edwards and the Wolves, no ligament damage, no ACL, no MCL, no serious damage in that knee. And he's a quick healer. But at minimum, my understanding is this is a 2-week minimum injury. So the Wolves up 3-1 right now are going to go to Denver tonight to try to close out this series, and they're going to have to be without him for at least the remainder of this series and potentially to start the next series. So the start of Anthony Edwards' rehab will be a lot of rest, a lot of recovery to be able to get to the point where eventually he'll be able to do basketball activities, also lowering the swelling in that knee. And remember, Malika, on the other knee, the right knee, he's been dealing with runner's knee. So This is now both knees impacted over the course of this season. Yeah,
and Shams, for Ant, you mentioned the fast healer. Chris Finch mentioned that as well. But with things like this, you have to be incredibly careful. Thank you very much, Shams, for that insight. So now, this is a cluster, really, of injuries because in the same game, they lost their entire starting backcourt for the rest of the series. Yes, Anthony Edwards, but also Dante DiVincenzo. So Minnesota's the third team since stats were tracked to have both of their starting backcourt players from the same game begin to miss time here. Bringing it inside our Los Angeles studios alongside Brian Windhorst, Shanae Agumake, Amon Shumpert. You two are every time looking away at the replays of that Anthony Edwards injury here. I don't know how Minnesota fans here are supposed to feel, Brian.
Yes, it's a very awkward position. I'm going to call Shump into remembering this. The only thing I can think of is the finals in 2015, where the Cavs played brilliantly in Game 1, but lose Kyrie Irving, already lost Kevin Love, and you think, oh my gosh, we're in great shape, but then your guys are injured. You know, obviously, if you're a Wolves fan, you're thrilled with this prospect of being ahead 3-1. You've seen some of your guys have some of their best ever games, but you've lost your starting backcourt. And let's be honest, bone bruises are extraordinarily inconsistent in their healing. Maybe he comes back in 2 weeks. Maybe he's out for the playoffs. This is a very unique situation. And if you're the Nuggets, even though you've played, frankly, horribly, and we've just seen Nikola Jokic have, in my opinion, in many, the 3 worst consecutive playoff games of his career, they probably should be on the ropes, but they are given life because of unfortunate injury elsewhere, and they need to recover immediately. And so it's a very unusual situation to see a 3-1 situation in the playoffs.
The good thing for them, Rudy Gobert, and now me and my brother just figured it out. I think I like Rudy Gobert now.
Good.
You know what?
Thank you.
Rudy Gobert, you got my vote.
He earned it. He put in the work.
The way you're playing defense on Nikola Jokic, we're going to keep saying he had 3 bad games or 3 games that don't look like the Joker. But it's because of what you're doing. You're playing your ass off. And not only are you playing your ass off on the defensive end, you're making sure you get in there on the offensive rebounds. You're making sure that when they throw that little pocket pass to you and you right there in the middle, he's not just getting the ball and looking around for help anymore. Now he's putting his head down a little bit. He threw a no-look and ran off. Didn't even look at I said, what are we watching?
He took a 3-pointer.
Yeah, he did, and it hit the rim. And
Rudy Gobert, it's like Gobert's.
Rebound off of that.
I don't know, but cool your jets a little bit.
I would say the question is, does this team have enough to close out the series? They have momentum, and I love the element of surprise that Ayo Dosunmu had, especially dropping 43 points, which was really cool.
Without a doubt. But the scouting report is coming.
The scout report, the roles are different, the schemes are going to be different, and, you know, they got 76 points off of the bench. Right. So some of those people are going to be in the starting lineup. How are you going to have the productivity? I understand now why Minnesota, their fans get their players tattooed on them. Because they're a team that plays hard, and they've taken on, it may not be Ant out there, but they've taken on his personality in the best ways possible on both ends of the floor. They still can win a game they still can close out this series. It's going to be so much more difficult despite how well Rudy has been.
I think it's got to be Game 5. If they do this, they need to get it over right here, right now.
Right.
That's on the road, though, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But that's the thing for Denver is you're looking at, you have 3 games left, and if it goes that far and 2 of them are on the road, Denver has a real opportunity here. All right, we have much.
Now a fascinating game on Monday between the Nuggets and the Wolves, Game 5 in Denver, after what I can only say was a high-drama weekend in that series. I don't know how I would feel if I were a Timberwolves fan. Obviously,
I do. I'd feel terrible.
That's what I kind of would say. I mean, they're up 3-1. They've had very inspiring victories in this series. Know that it's not that much to choose from. That said, 43 off the bench in a all of that is to be celebrated. Jaden McDaniels emerging as a great personality in these playoffs, something I have to say I did not see coming.
He'll check in under a pseudonym at his Denver hotel.
Maybe.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert having one of the best series of his Hall of Fame career, and that's saying something. I mean, he's been unbelievable.
Rudy, not that he needed validation, but Rudy having a validating last, 7 or 8 days. But if you're walking out of the Target Center on Saturday night, what are you feeling? So Dante DiVincenzo, like Dame Lillard, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jason Tatum. I don't care about that. I care about all 4 of those injuries happened at roughly the same spots on the floor, all making the same move essentially. Well, I guess Lillard was in the backcourt, so I'll take that up. But certainly the Halliburton, DiVincenzo, and Tatum injuries were all almost identical. It's not really a step back. I was educated by a listener that it's called a false step, where you sort of step back and push off and go forward. All of them. So Dante is out. Brutal injury. Next year, and obviously this year over. Next year in some level of doubt. And there's obviously a bad hyperextension with the bone bruise. That is a weeks-long injury. We don't know if his playoffs are over. At the very least, this series is over, and probably significantly more. So, after Denver, I would say Jokic has played. He's may have played 3 worst consecutive games in his career. I don't remember it. Maybe a diehard Nuggets fan can chapter and verse and say that he's played 3 consecutive games this poorly, but never of consequence. That I can say for sure. And yet, Bontemps, the Nuggets are very much alive, not because of anything that they've done, but because the Wolves are without their starting backcourt. And 2 of the 3 remaining games, if there are 3 remaining games, are going to be in Denver. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, you ask how Wolves fans would feel today. I mean, that's like winning a battle and losing the war. I mean, the goal is not to win a playoff series when you made the conference finals the last 2 years, right? This is not like, say, the Charlotte Hornets or some team that hasn't had any playoff success. Like Minnesota was hoping this year that they could break through and get to the finals, or at minimum, maybe get back to the conference finals again. And that's all out the window. Like maybe they can get another win in this series. I certainly think it's possible given the way Denver is playing, but their hopes of having any kind of real playoff run are over, which is awful and sucks. And, we were all watching the game.
Probably.
They're not
probably.
Okay. Sure. Maybe whoever they play in the next round could have a bunch of injuries. I think it's safe to assume Anthony Edwards is not playing in the next round. If that changes, okay, maybe things change. But this was already a thin team. Now they don't have Dante DiVincenzo, who's one of their most important players. It was a devastating injury. He's a great guy. Felt terrible seeing him get hurt. We're all watching the game live when it happened. And it's just unrealistic to think they can make any kind of real run. And frankly, it's unrealistic to think Denver can make any kind of real run with the way that both the way they have played and the injuries that they have. I came into this series thinking there were 4 teams in the West that could make a real run. And I came out of last night thinking there's 2, and neither one of them's playing in the series.
Well, and one of them, the Spurs, is sitting there rooting for Minnesota to close this thing out. Let's just be honest,
Of
because
course.
if you get to see Minnesota without Ant, without Dante DiVincenzo, I mean, that's a great matchup when, frankly, the Spurs screwed up and didn't have the brackets fall in their favor to position themselves where it looked like they were going to have to go through Denver and Oklahoma City. Now, that still might be their path for the reasons you laid out, and also because we are not going to sit here and discount the potential of Joker coming to life in this series. The Denver Nuggets have come back from 3-1 down in a couple of playoff series, both in Joker's tenure. They were both in the bubble. One of those was at the expense of Rudy Gobert and the Utah Jazz. And that's the series that in Game 7, Joker hit the go-ahead, basically series-winning shot, a tough turnaround over Gobert. Rudy has had the best defensive series of his life, and he is a historically dominant defender. But Joker had always, I'm not going to say Joker had its number. Joker had always gotten the better of the matchup over the course of time. Rudy has been an absolute dominant force. And I checked with people in Denver, about, hey, like, is Joker's wrist an issue? What's going on here? And they're like, dude, give Gobert credit. This guy is absolutely playing spectacularly dominant defensive basketball. Joker's not able to get anywhere that he wants to go. He's having to always try to finish through and over Rudy. But I'm not going to sit here and rule out the possibility of that trend reversing course. Now, I am going to discount any kind of potential motivational factor from this ridiculous fracas